Already about when we dig them and how we dig them, and then now we're doing this to show you why we would spray them off. Some people take their tubers out of the ground, and depending on your soil, if it's a little bit sandier, you would see the clump a little more. This is like a big clump of mud, but some people, the dirt would fall off, and in which case you can actually put your dahlia tubers aside without rinsing them, and you can separate them later. Some people do that. In our case, we go ahead and we spray them off because we're concerned about them rotting with all this wet mud around them. So what I do is I take a spray hose, not too strong, and I just set it on the ground like this to start it, and I just start around the crown of the plant, start getting the mud to come off. And again, I'm just trying to get the mud from in between the tubers so that when I go to store them later, there's no wet mud in there to keep it from decaying over the season.
So you're wanting to make sure that you're really getting, especially if you have really muddy, wet, clumpy, or like clay in your soil, you want to make sure that you're getting all those clumps out from in between the tubers.
Yeah, and I'll usually take, I take my gloves off because I don't want to soak them, but I'll go up underneath like this and just kind of get in between the tubers. You're not trying to get them clean to the place where you're wanting to eat them or something. You just want to get the mud out so that it's not sitting clumped up with mud in between the tubers. So in this case, now you can see there's still a few little pieces of bark in there, but for the most part, it's cleaned up in between the tubers. Now this guy, I can do one of two things. I could go through at this time of season if I wanted to, and I could go ahead and start separating the tubers out. Or in our case, we don't have time to do that right now. So I'm gonna take this clump, I'm gonna let it sit just until it's dry to touch. And then I'm gonna take this whole clump, I'm gonna trim this down, and I'm gonna trim off all these little hairs here, which we can probably do a video about. But then I'm gonna put it into some kind of medium. In our case, we're gonna use pine chips, finely shaven pine chips, to store it for the season.
So show over here, these are the other ones that we dug. They got rinsed and they are drying, and we'll do a video that we can share next on how we store all of the tubers. And if you want more information on how to store them, why to store them, we have a blog, right?
Yep.
Perfect.